And it's the Transform Your Relationship Show. I'm Laura Rubinstein here with the amazing and fabulous Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. Hi, Rhoberta.
Hi, Laura.
We are doing another touchy subject, I like to say, about people who pick fights and why we get into fights that are sometimes we wonder, how did I get here? And didn't it kind of takes you by surprise, when you get into an argument and somebody somehow got you in there, or you allowed it, or you started it. Have you ever seen this happen before or felt this?
Yes, I think it's really easy for people to not be in the present moment enough to not realize what they are engaging in, or what they're starting, or how they're choosing their words, because everything can go sideways if you don't read the situation carefully from your side and the other side.
And it can all start with a simple comment, and all of a sudden you're in it. And it was a subconscious intention that somebody's irritated, they say something that they know you're going to react to emotionally, and then boom, you're in it. And if you can identify what just happened, or even identify before it happens, then maybe the fight doesn't have to happen. Right?
Well, the fight never has to happen because that takes two people.
It does. Ah, big, big, big aha there. If you don't want to have a fight with someone, you don't have to, even if they're trying their hardest. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, you don't have to take the bait. You don't have to jump in. You don't have to be in their perspective or their perception. You can just look at it and say, oh, that person's having a bad day. That person's anxious. That person, for some reason, is irritated and I've been chosen. And that's up to you, whether or not you get in it.
Yeah. And it takes practice. I call that like a mental muscle to like be on the information gathering side versus the reactionary, how am I going to respond to this side, right?
Well, I think back to a person that I worked for. I was acting general manager of a media company in Manhattan, and the woman was brilliant in her own way, but she was just not able to determine the difference between information and emotion. So someone would come and say, I don't like the way this is going. And she would come to me and say, oh, the employees are all upset. I said, no, back off. That was just information. That one employee expressed to you that she doesn't like something. You know, pan out, come to the bigger picture. You're running a company. One employee doesn't like it. That doesn't make an issue. And so it's very important for us to understand that if we just come from that first stance of it's just information, then you have a moment to take a breath and not let yourself get baited.
That reminds me of a manager who was kind of the opposite in style, and I can take a page in a note in a page from that, which is that manager hardly said anything. It seemed like they were always just kind of like listening, listening to all the employees, to all the stuff going on between the employees, all the stuff that came to him, and then he would like take it in, and you knew he was listening, but you didn't have like a reaction from it. And sometimes it was so frustrating. But at the end of the day, he could come to a decision that was the best for the organization. And we can do this in our personal lives too. It could be, let me think about that. I'll get back to you, right?
Mm-hmm. As long as the person feels heard and engaged with and not dismissed. It's like those old cartoons about, the relationship between men and women where the woman is talking and the man's behind the newspaper. Okay, the woman's talking, but she has no idea what's being received. And hearing doesn't help.
Oh.
So we need to be fully present with each other and then take it in as information, and then know that you have the right to say, I'll get back to you, as you said, or that's not the way that I see it, or that's a new idea, let me think about it. and respond to it from an information point of view rather than an emotion point of view. And that's where your power lies, is not going down the rabbit hole of emotion when all you've been presented with is really information. Even if it was inflammatorily delivered, it's still just information. What do I want to do with that? What am I taking from that? What am I doing with this?
So
And that's where your power lies.
I love that. And so when you say don't go down the emotional rabbit hole, and when somebody's like really upset, a way one could say is like, I see you're really upset about this, right? And it's almost like they want you to go down there with them. It's like, and I might want to say, well, I don't want to get there, and they might be really upset that I won't go there.
Well,
So,
it's a power move too. I mean, if I can come to you and have power over you and engage you at an emotional level, then I feel vilified that, okay, I'm upset about it. Now you're upset about it. And therefore it must be something to get upset about. And yet on the other hand, if someone's upset or they're, you know, maybe just take COVID. Maybe some small business person is living right on the edge of their ability to keep the business going because they don't have any customers. They have no idea how they're going to make their next rent. And they're already living at a level of high anxiety. And then they make a comment. And I don't like the comment. But if I could stop and say, wow, the big picture is that this person is living right on the edge and very concerned about their whole life's work being left to the next ability to pay the rent, I can see why they'd be in an elevated state. It has nothing to do with me. They're not even thinking clearly because in their body, they've already gotten to the place of arousal. When you get to the place of arousal, you have less oxygen going to your brain, and your sorting function as what's appropriate and what would fly and play well is definitely mitigated.
and so let's take that scenario out. You see this, and then you can say, well, I don't, they're upset. It may be about the bigger picture. How can I engage? I might be asking in a way that doesn't get me upset, doesn't inflame them more. Do I need to get them what they need or find out what they need? Like, what do we need to do here?
Well, I might say that's not the usual way that we start a conversation. Is something going on?
Mm.
Right? Like pan out. It's not just me. It's like, oh, this is unusual. Let me paint it unusual and say this is unusual and see if I get a response. And then the person might say, well, I just came from the landlord and he says that if I don't pay the full rent next month, my business is done for. And oh, golly, that must be really anxiety provoking. I get it. And then you can have a different supportive conversation. It wasn't about you at all, but you were handy.
Yeah. You were handy for a venting, when you blurt your hurt kind of thing, like you say. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, and what if, because I've been in this situation, it's like a deja vu where all of a sudden I'm in a fight and I've had this argument before, like different topic, but same energy, same way we got in there. And I want to stop. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's always important to say, I think I got my knickers in a twist a little too early. Can we back off for a second? Take responsibility for the fact you jumped into it and then say, I'd like a redo. Can I just back off and say or ask something? It's always possible. Just because you're in it, you don't have to win it.
Ooh, yeah. Wow, what a concept. I feel like so many people when they get into a fight, that's the end goal, especially the ones that are baiting. It's like it's got to be about winning. If I don't win, then why did I even express this energy?
Well, I started from the position of I think I can win. That's why I open my mouth. That's what happens. I think I can have power over this person, so I'm going to say something and see what they do. And if you don't take the bait, yay, you. And if you do take the bait, you might back off and say, you know, I just don't think that's the issue at hand. And I think I just engaged too early. Take responsibility for yourself.
Wow. But then they can't win and they won't like that.
Let the other side win. Who cares? The thing is, when people are in an emotional state, if winning is the whole key, then just notice who they are.
Hmm.
The population of people that I help, they're with people who have to win in every circumstance with every person at every minute of every day, because the fragility of their egos is so great that they must have power over everybody. And winning, that's what that represents. I'm right, I'm justified, I'm righteous, you're wrong, I have judgments, I criticize, and I need to win. So I will continue to make you wrong. And if you point out to me that there's no logic in my argument, then I'll tell you that your delivery is bad. But I am going to win and make no bones about it. So if somebody shows me that they have to win all the time, why would I get into it? I know
Right.
this game, you know.
And if they can't win, maybe they'll stop picking a fight with you. How likely is that?
Well, it's more likely after a little while, after a few tries where they don't get anywhere, they'll go find somebody who ignites faster.
Hmm.
Like one of the things that I've learned on Facebook is if there's a whole lot of emotion going on and I just say, I think such and such is a neutral term. That's all I say. I don't take a side. I just say a little piece of information. Nobody takes issue with it. Sometimes things calm down. But if I get in and say, I think you're right, and I have kept the imbalance or the balance, depending on whose view it is, going.
So getting back to balance is about taking the sides off the table.
Yeah, like become the observer. Okay, this person just came at me with something. Is it really about me? No, it's about them. All together, it's about them because they came at me.
Right.
They have an issue with me, great, we can find that out. But their decision in the moment to come out with, all guns blazing, that's their decision.
Right.
I am the observer at that moment. But what if I just got a notice from my landlord that they're doubling the rent and they want it 3 months in advance?
And then
And
they
you
come
come
at
at
you.
me with, and I just got mine and I'm going to be evicted. Okay, now we're in a real muddle. And who's going to be the person who's most sane at the moment? I tell the people that I work with, couples and others, that the person who's most sane at the moment is responsible for the relationship. So if you can keep your head above water, if you can keep some perspective, if you can keep yourself in a neutral state, not too charged up, not too tired, not too angry, not too hungry, then you have a greater chance of being the one who is most sane at the moment. In that case, then you will decide more easily whether or not you want to engage.
Yeah. So when the person who's most sane is responsible for the relationship, how do they show that responsibility?
Well, it may be just as simple as saying, I can hear that you have a lot of energy around this topic. At the moment, I think maybe we could de-escalate that and see if there's something that pushed the button underneath that. Would you be willing to go there with me? Right? I mean, always pan out and get the bigger picture, give the different perspective, because a person who's in arousal has become very, very short on peripheral vision. They are just like I need to win, and it's this thing, and you're wrong for these reasons. They're become very, very focused, and the breadth of the picture and all the mitigating circumstances and all the pieces of past relationship and everything aren't there. It's just my fears got me. I want to prevent this, or I want to make you wrong, or I want to do something. So if you're going to be the one who's most sane, you have to be the one who is most able to keep the perspective.
Yeah, keep the
You know,
perspective.
people do it all the time. I mean, they do it all the time. You watch them on Facebook. They're, especially during COVID, they don't have anyone to talk to. They're unhappy. They were scared. They're this or that, and then they pretend everybody is faceless so they can say or do whatever they feel inclined to do. And then if you say something about it, they make you wrong, and then they become name callers. And it's crazy. But
Yeah.
if you can't contribute to making it more benign, don't contribute at all.
Right. So point out the neutral or leave the conversation. And when it gets really heated and I'm not in that, and somebody tries to pull me in as a third party, oh, that's not good either.
No, and there is a third option. The third option is to be able to simply say that's not my perspective, or that's not the information that I have. And you don't offer to give anything further. You just simply state it. That's using my technique, the personal weather report. You just simply state it. Then you find out if they're interested at all in your perspective, which they're probably not. But when you just
They are
say
for
that,
the chance to
make you wrong.
to negate it. Yes.
Yeah. But
So
they're not interested in an equal conversation.
in which case, to me, that's a very dangerous place to put myself in, because if I want to say that's not my perspective, oh, what is your perspective? And I might opt out of the conversation at that point. I might say, it doesn't feel right for me to share it at this time. It's irrelevant.
Yes, yes. Or, I'd be happy to talk with you about that offline or in a private message, or, something that just diffuses the situation and postpones it to not happen while the flames are ignited. you know?
And it's irrelevant to the flames. Yes. So let's de-escalate. Well, sometimes people are just too insistent on winning, and I like your idea of letting them win to whatever degree you can, whatever that looks like. And then I like the idea of saying that's not my perspective. If they're interested, offering a time to talk about it when they can be objective. What if they can't be objective? What if they're just, some people just like to hold on to grudges, right? What if you know somebody like that who's like, yeah, we could talk about that offline, sure. You know, and when you get that
And
kind
then,
of like defensiveness,
well, then I'd be too busy for a week.
or a year.
Forever. I mean, but I wouldn't leave them hanging. I would just say, I've thought better of it, and I don't think that we would agree on this. So it's probably best for our relationship that we don't discuss it further. And just keep with that decision that you made, you know? The thing is basic to this whole conversation is the notion that when someone asks you a question that you have to answer. Adults don't have to answer questions.
Wow, what a novelty. What a novelty. You don't have to answer a question just because it was asked.
Yes.
Ooh.
So if someone asks you something and you think that it has a hidden agenda, or they're trying to make you wrong, or they're do anything, sometimes I've gone so far, Laura, someone will say, well, what do you really think about that? And I will say, I have no idea why you'd want to know that right now. And I just turn it back on them, because I know that it's not going to go anywhere good. And I don't have an intention of having that conversation. So I just say, I don't know why you'd want to know that. And if they come back at me and say, well, I have a right to know, I don't know,
No, you don't.
So it's really
You have a right to
important for,
breathe. You have a right to, vote. You don't have a right to tell me what to do, right?
Yeah, well, you have lots of rights and they come with responsibilities. So if you want to exercise the right, then be responsible in the way you talk to me. And I don't mean that to sound parental. I mean that's my internal feeling. Like you are not going to have the right to tell me what I should think or what I should feel, or if I had it together, I would. No, we've already blurred the lines there. Speak about yourself, use the personal weather report. That's the only thing you know for sure. You don't know another thing about a human except that you've observed their behavior over time and they often behave this way. And so you then take that information and you mitigate your conversations with them with that experience that you have of them. And then you also use it to decide if you want to continue having conversations with that person. There are three kinds of having conversations that I talk to my clients about. You can either surf, snorkel, or dive. Some people you're only going to surf with. That's all. Your transaction with the person at the grocery store, all of that. If you have friends, maybe you'll snorkel. Maybe you'll go a little deeper into things. Maybe when there's an issue, you'll figure them out. You don't bother figuring out whether or not the person at the grocery store is having a bad day. But if you have a friend, you might figure that out. And then there are people that you really, really care about, maybe your partner or a really close friend or something that you say, okay, this is going terribly sideways and let's just dive. Let's dive deeply into finding out what is underneath this. It may be uncomfortable, it may be sad, it may cause a rift, but I care enough about this relationship that I will dive with you. I mean, a lot of the times when couples come to me, they have been surfing for so long while longing to have a partner to dive with that they have no idea even how to snorkel anymore because it's too tentative. Go under the water, I might drown. I don't go under the water anymore. So, that's a very general thing about relationships and my work. But when we're talking about the stuff we're talking about today, if somebody already has their knickers in a twist, don't twist.
And, be okay with getting to the place with, if you're the one bringing up a conversation, trying to change someone's mind or win, you have to sometimes get to the point of agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Be
And
willing to go there.
and I really don't like that phrase because I find it incendiary. People think they're being shut down.
Or patronized.
Yeah. So I think it's maybe a little better. I don't know. Everybody would have to calibrate for themselves. Or just saying, I don't think I can go to that place and meet you there. I just don't. So I think I'll just think about it a little more, or I know that I will never be willing to go to that place. So I think I just better say that now,
Yeah.
as opposed to, well, we'll agree to disagree. That just sounds like I'm cutting you off.
Right. Yeah. Or I thought better of it, and it's probably not a great conversation for us to have.
Yes,
Since
which
my
would be a much
perspective,
better thing to say.
well, that was your words that you said earlier in the conversation, right? I thought
Exactly.
better of it, and I think it's best for both of us if we don't discuss this. We have differing viewpoints, and
Hmm.
let's just honor that.
Yeah,
So,
might not be great for our relationship.
mhm.
I have friends who are diametrically opposed to me in many aspects. Maybe they have different spiritual beliefs, maybe they have a different political leaning, whatever. And you always have to calibrate, like, okay, I really care about this person, and we're very different in that way. Is that difference something that is going to get in the way of this friendship or our having conversations? You have to always be calibrating what's going on. So if somebody comes at you and you can just be healthy and be in a relatively receptive state, then you can calibrate what's coming at you, then you are going to be more sane. Then you can just say, okay, maybe something's going on with this person. Maybe I don't have to jump in and wave the flag for their issue. Maybe I just need to let them talk. Maybe I could just lean in and say, wow, it sounds like you got a whole lot of energy around that. Tell me what's going on.
And then when they tell it,
And say, oh, I can see why you'd have a whole lot of energy around that. Do you know why you have a whole lot of energy around it? I mean, get them to think. When somebody is in a whole lot of arousal and you make them come back up into their head, they start to relax, they start to breathe again. Then you can find out if this is a person you care about, see if you can get them back into their ability to breathe and get their heart rate back down. And you often do that by kind of inviting them to think. And if you jump in there and say, wow, you really got a really strong opinion about that, tell me more about that, they got to go into their head, not just, well, that's just the way I feel. And, I think you're crazy. No, tell me, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? And when you demonstrate that interest and you match their energy, then sometimes you can get them to come back up into their head. And when that happens, it can be a good thing because then they go, oh, wow, I really was having a spell there, wasn't I? Let me see if I can tell you because I don't seem to have words for that yet. Now, there's going to be times when we're just way too far out there and the person can't do it and say, well, maybe when we have more clarity around the issues, we could talk about that.
yes. And it takes practice to do this. I mean, like, because when somebody's coming at you, you're like, you go into your fight or flight mode, or at least I do. It's like, I can't respond sometimes. It's like,
that would be good. It would be a whole lot better, a whole lot
like,
better
I
than
just got
coming out
attacked, I
swinging.
think. And I'm like, what do I do? And then they continue. And then I'm like, so you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to do this. I do?
Yeah, exactly. Like, they've gone into parenting mode, and in my head, I'm saying, okay, now you think that you're going to tell me who to be and how to think and all of that. No. So I'll just ask a question. So I think I'm hearing you tell me what you think. You do think that way, right? Because I don't. Sometimes you have to just separate it out for them in words because they've decided that we've got to be on the same page. Well, we don't. And I don't mean to make it sound like I am always cool as a cucumber, but basically there's not that much that we need to get really upset about in life. There's not that much that I would want to put my heart rate up for, right? In terms of an argument or a confrontation or whatever. No, because the more angry a person is, the more they are using the oxygen in their blood to keep themselves alive. They're not using it for clear thinking. It's not available. It's gone south. It's down there keeping the heart and lungs going. So there's no point arguing with a person who's really angry.
I like that. Use your oxygen to help you think clearly.
That's right. And, I like what Ashley Brilliant said. He said, you know, um, make a, make a speech when you're angry and you'll make the best speech you'll ever regret.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. Do I want to look back on this moment and say, oh, well, I was really all head up, but I said some things I don't really believe and I was trying to win and I sort of took my words and hit the person over the head with them to beat them back and put them in their place. Well, now I've got a 2-for-1 conversation. Not only do I feel badly, but I also was wrong. And now I have to fix the relationship as well as the issue.
So let's not break it in the first place, even though somebody else
Yeah.
might be trying to.
Yeah. So, just be neutral and benign, do no harm. Sometimes you just have to think about it as somebody needs to punch. So you just hold your hand up and let them punch. And you're not telling them they're wrong. You're not doing any of that. You're just like, okay,
They're
like it's a
sparring partner,
child.
right?
Yeah. Or like a child who's angry, they don't have any processing skills because they're young and their brain doesn't work like that, and they're just angry and they're lying on the supermarket floor and they're bashing their feet and I want the Skittles, I want the Skittles. Okay, well, adults do that too, particularly hijackals do that a lot. So, they'll just regress when they get fearful, and that's what happens when people are upset. They regress when they're fearful. So I'm afraid I'm not going to get what I want. I'm afraid you don't respect me. I'm afraid that my idea is full of holes and I'm not going to let you poke at them. Whatever it is their fear is, if you just recognize that, whoa, there's a lot of fear over there, go ahead, unload the fear. I'm not taking it on. I'm going to deflect it. Okay, great. And I'll see if there's any substance here that needs describing or discussing later. But it does take a lot of practice. You're absolutely right, and yet you have to want that. If there's some unhealed part of you that is just really waiting to be righteous and right and stomp somebody to the ground, maybe you've got a little work to do.
Yeah. So that's where I found myself getting into the same fight over and over again. And then I had to take a look and I'm like, this doesn't feel good. Why do I keep creating this? Why does this trigger that and that trigger him? And then I get triggered and we do this until I cry and then we make up, right? It was like a predictable pattern and I had to dismantle it. And so I either he would lure me in or I would lure him in and we'd go there and then it kind of, we had this tension point that we got to that we needed to pop the bubble and that was our only methodology for doing it at the time. But now that, hindsight is 2020, we can look at this and say, oh, I could have, really taken a look at things in a different way or gone and get some help and to talk it through and why do I do this and dismantle it. And the minute I was like, oh, I don't need to be right. Because I really want this relationship. Oh, wow, what would that look like? And how
Yeah.
can I ask for what I really want? And oh, well, if this isn't going to happen, then we have to cop to it, not just be frustrated about it. And if it's not going to happen, then eventually that relationship wasn't going to happen. So
Yeah.
we got to that point, which was like a beautiful blessing finally with that. And it's not like we were fighting all the time. It just would come to an escalation point because we couldn't meet each other's needs and we weren't a right fit or whatever. And we finally like, oh, let's not do that. And part of it was I hadn't gone through whatever growth I needed to go through to be more happy and sane in that relationship. And
Right.
when you come with those extra things, like you said, whether it's the pressures of whatever is going on in your life or whatever you feel about yourself as a person, it's all there in the relationship and it needs to be looked at because otherwise you're not going to be a sane person in that relationship.
That's right. And, the question is always, who am I? That's always the question. Who am I being right now? Am I demonstrating my values, my vision, my beliefs by what I am thinking and doing right now and saying? And if you can stay centered in the who am I and how am I presenting myself to the world, it's a big journey. But it allows you to say, okay, the end of the day, yep, I pretty much stayed aligned. Nobody pulled me into their drama or set me off on a trauma that I didn't need to go on, because I can calibrate that kind of thing. And those are just steps in emotional maturity. And we either take them or we don't.
Right. And that's what we're here to offer is insights for that journey and resources and support. And I know
That's right.
you have a podcast and YouTube channels and um, membership sites and everything's available at forrelationshiphelp.com, right? And
It's all there.
and I help people from their business to their personal life. Once you've gotten some of the clarity, then we can use some hypnosis and really help you stay grounded in that, right? Because we are very in flux beings and we can work with your subconscious mind.
Yes, but first of all, you have to know what you want.
Clarity is
So,
key. Clarity is key. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. So if you find yourself being drawn into other people's fighting modes, just notice that as a beginning. Like, oh, they were itching for a fight and I didn't even know, and I got taken down that rabbit hole by my own choice. Next time I'll just notice they're itching for a fight and I'll say, "Oh, it seems like you've got a lot of energy around that. Talk to me about it." And just be that, okay, it's okay. Go ahead, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. And then when the energy is dissipated, then say, well, how are you doing now?
I still want you to do something. You're still wrong.
Yeah, I might be. You could be right.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that I'm going to jump in there with you. And I'm not being dismissive and I'm not being disinterested. I am just making a calibrated decision about what I'm going to do with my energy and how I want to feel when this relationship conversation is over. You know, the big question that I ask people all the time is to, you get a feeling and it's in a conversation and you say to yourself, what do I want as a result of this exchange? Where do I want to be feeling or speaking 5 minutes from now? Because what I say or do right now is going to be directional.
Hmm.
So know that you are choosing direction by what you say. We could talk about this forever. It's a big
Good.
conversation.
It's huge. And changing directions and conversations is like big. Yeah.
Yeah, how do you change direction in a conversation while honoring the direction the person started it with?
Hmm.
You know, you don't want to dismiss them, you don't want to deflect and distract, but you do need to be able to bend. So there's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. And also not being bent while not being bent, right?
True. Yeah.
Because they want to put the conversation to bend. Sometimes a hijacker will want to bend you. And
Mm-hmm.
if I want to remain in integrity, not bent, then we have to agree to not have this conversation because
Yeah, and in a healthy relationship, there is some resilience. I mean, there's a bit of being a bamboo and a willow in there that you can't you have some pliability, you have some flexibility, you have some give. But if somebody is really bent on bending you to the ground and stomping on you to make sure you stay down, you have to know that, probably I don't want to let that person get their boots on me, right?
it's a protective, approach needs to be taken.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes. So I need to do something to make sure that I'm aware in the moment.
and we've
Sane.
talked about a lot of ways to do that. So I think this has been a really rich conversation about how to, deal with someone and identify someone who's picking a fight with you, and then how to navigate in that
Mm-hmm.
world, and with honor, with respect, and also with keeping one's sanity and being the responsible, sane one. So lovely
Yeah.
takeaways from today. Awesome.
Yeah. And I think, that banner actually says if someone is trying to pick a fight with you, and it's all in your perception. Are they showing you how frustrated they are trying to pick a fight with you? You got to figure that out before you open your mouth.
Right. Sometimes it might be worth asking.
Might be.
You want to figure something out, or do you want to fight about this?
Yeah, or as I've done a whole episode on, do you want to have a fight or do you just want to be right? I mean, what's going on here? If you just want to be right, I'll say, okay, you can be right now.
And
But I'm
then if
not
they
going to
want to
fight with
fight,
you.
then what do you say?
I'll say catch you later.
Catch you later. Gotcha. All right, everyone. That was awesome. Thanks for a great conversation. We will be back in another couple weeks with our Transform Your Relationship show. Thanks, Roberta.
Thank you, Laura. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.